Hello! And no, you're not being deceived. This is an Elaina episode. And yes, I did not do the first episode of Elaina. Initially, I had no plans. I was just going to watch Elaina, chill out, do my thing. But I was so taken with the first episode. I have been debating for the past week now whether I should do something about it. Just because I was pleasantly surprised when I first watched the first episode. And it's a possibility I might be dropping Noblesse, depending on how that goes, because I'm not, as much as I'm happy to see it, I don't want to be releasing on something where myself, I am okay. It's like an okay episode kind of thing. I want to give you an anime review that I love and I'm really into. I want to say how impressed I was with the first episode of The Journey of Elaina. It is visually beautiful. This anime is beautiful. The colors are beautiful. The light usage is beautiful. The fact that they've been able to create this world which feels alive in one episode so far. I will go on to talk about episode 2 quickly in my normal style a little bit later in the episode, just because I've got a page of notes, but because of how the pacing is, I can talk about 2 episodes probably in one episode. The pacing is really, really good. It almost reminds me of Araya the Natural, or the whole Araya series. Araya. I'm not quite sure what it was. I just called it Araya. The entire series of that. It's a good anime, and if you've ever got some time on your hands where you just want to chill out, let an anime beautifully guide you along the canals and channels of a Neo Venice, definitely recommend that anime, because that anime is perfect chill. There's so much beauty and secrets put into the actual world building that sometimes the world itself pulls you along and the plot doesn't have to do as much work as it would normally have to do. This anime really caught my attention. As soon as the magic battle kicked in between Fran and Elaina last episode, I was taken because the magic really felt oomph. The magic felt like magic. It felt like it was alive, and we get to see a bit more magic in this episode as well. The whole world felt real. The fact that Elaina herself is a very engaging main character. Yes, she's the youngest witch of her kind of generation. She's like 12, 14, I can't remember which. Her character design is beautiful. I love the beautiful designs in this. Their colours, the eyes, the hair itself. It's a really nice anime character design, and plus everyone likes witches. It's a good old witch story. And I think I'll put it up here, I recently made myself a witch. And I like rats. I own rats as pets, so the fact that I had rat ears in this design, even better. So it's been a very kind of witchy week for me, being witch related. So I figured, let's do it. Let's talk about The Journey of Elaina, because it comes out on a Friday, and I tend to not work Friday, so it shouldn't upset me too much to add in another video if I'm dropping Noblesse. We kick off the episode 2, which is the Land of the Mages, and the Land of the Mages is only accessible to people who are already mages, people who have magic, or are learning magic, who have demonstrated the ability of magic. We do get quite a few little hints at how the world works in this episode as well. So you've got ordinary people, then you've got the apprentice witches, and then you've got a full-blown witch at the top. You see it kind of narrowing down as there's less and less as you go up the ladder. And we open on this really nice cityscape. The music makes me feel like I'm in Europe somewhere. Obviously, this channel used to be a travelling channel. The music really made me remember some of my trips to Eastern Europe, and it has a really nice fantasy feel to it. And as well, some of these cities could well be in Germany, or they could be in Austria. They have got that really European feel to them, which is really nice. The plot this episode kind of collides smack bang with us straight into the first episode as Elaina is flying around. She gets crashed into by another witch and crash lands literally into the Land of Mages. Even though she is a little irked that she's been bumped into and the girl doesn't automatically apologise, she goes, you stay there, I'm going to fix everything, it's okay. We get another look at how beautiful the animation for this magic is. It's the use of the glowing light, the rainbow colours, the sparkling, the purples. Purple is the colour of magic, if you know what I mean. We get this picture of Elaina fixing everything up. She salutes the witch and she goes, goodbye, the mage whose name I do not know. I like that. It's just so charming. It's really charming and polite, even though she doesn't know this girl's name. She's, bidding her farewell, and she's gone off to go and find somewhere to stay. We find out that Nowhere is interested in letting her stay with them. She can't figure out why this would be. We then get to see some more beautiful little details about the world. The world itself is full of lots of hidden little details. The hotel she then arrives at has landing lights on each of the doors for broomsticks. Everyone's flying around, everyone uses broomsticks, and they've got these little landing lights by the doors, so if you were approaching this hotel in the dark, you would know where to land. Little tiny details like that, which have kind of stuck with me for the entire week, just going, I feel like I should say something about this anime. And to be fair, on Mal it is rocking up at 7.6, so it looks like I'm not the only one who's gone, this anime is going to be a hidden gem, I can feel it coming. I can't leave this one fly under the radar, I'm going to mention it, because I did that with Decadence, and I regret not doing an actual review of Decadence as it came out. Let's talk about this, let's continue. We meet Saya. So Saya is working at the hotel, and this is because hotel's kind of like the Hotel of Doom, and there's like a pole, and she slides down a pole, and it kind of gave me a bit of a Ghostbusters vibe, like when I had the old warehouse, got a pole, and that's the reason why they originally want it. Elaina finally works out that she's missing her badge, and that's obviously why nobody wants to take her in, because she has no proof that she's a witch or anything, so nobody really wants her to stay with them. And Elaina figures it must have been from when we collided in the sky. So Elaina takes a bath, and then she finds Saya in her room. Because she's got the keys, because she works there, she's kind of broken into, and she says, I need a favour. And the favour is that Elaina needs to teach Saya what she needs to pass the Apprentice Witch exam. I was onto Saya quite quickly, just because it felt a little bit weird that she would break into her room. Straight on there, I was like, I don't quite trust Saya. As much as she's appeared as a bit of a klutz and quite a very honest character, just a little bit onto you there, girl. And I'm glad that I was onto you, because I had my reasons. Saya gives us a quick backstory about her sister and her both working hard at a hotel to save up to keep retaking the exams. Her sister then passed and went home, so she's been left all alone. I did note that Saya looks a little bit like Fran, and there's a picture where she puts it up, and it could be, if it probably isn't, but if it turned out to be Fran later on, I would definitely be doing a I told you so moment. They look very similar. We find out the next exam is in a week. Elaina agrees, I'm going to teach you how to do some magic whilst I try and find my brooch. And I even written it here, so obviously I take notes whilst I watch these things. I've got a little scribble in a corner. Does Saya have the brooch? It made no sense that she would drop it and nobody would return it if that was the case. And then obviously when she searches around, there's no evidence of the brooch being anywhere. I even think the first screenshot I took was Saya pretty much bang on Elaina, and I was like, that she could have taken a brooch right there in the air. So I was onto her really, really quickly. And to be fair, this anime isn't trying to be the next Sherlock Holmes like Moriarty's doing. It's not trying to be clever. It's just trying to plod along. So I think in this case, we can forgive it for being a little bit predictable. This entire episode really does read as a reverse of episode 1. The first episode where we saw Elaina being the one who was struggling to find a teacher, struggling to get by and needing to pass an exam, we finally get the flip of that where Elaina is now the teacher. Even though she's still really young, she is now the teacher. She's now the one teaching it. We find out that there's a written exam where you can cram for that in one night. So the written exam isn't difficult. It's the practical exam where people kind of slip up and it's harder to pass. So they fight whilst they're in the air and they have to stay on their broom, and the one on the broom wins. Reminds me of a driving test where the practical exam is the harder part. Theory, I passed first time. My practical, I took 2 attempts. It kind of reminded me of that a little bit. And I guess that is the case, that brooms are like cars in a sense. We then get this nice little montage of a broom manoeuvring lesson. As much as this is all about teaching Saya how to use a broom, I also think the anime is trying to teach us, the viewer. It's trying to teach us a little bit more about this aspect of the world that we're in. These people using their brooms. It teaches us some more mechanics about broom riding. I figured it was a very clever way of teaching both of us at the same time. And the fact that there's a nice little rainbow right at the end as Saya learning really, really quickly. Rainbows tend to be they're very good omen. A very good omen. You see a rainbow, they say if you find a pot of gold, you're going to get a wish granted. Or just seeing a rainbow is a very good omen. And Elaina says, this must be how a mother feels to teach a child to fly. Elaina herself learning, maturing in a sense that she is now the one who is proud looking at her student who is growing up. We get a food scene, which is nice. We know how Clockwork Dandy Noodles feels. And again, it is another reverse of last week's episode, where last episode, Elaina was the one going, I don't want to eat that. I can't eat that. This time, Saya is like, I don't want to eat mushrooms. I don't like eating mushrooms that grow on a tree. I don't want to eat a tree. Everyone's issue with mushrooms. I love mushrooms personally. I don't see what the problem is. You guys being so fussy. But then again, if it was broccoli, I would probably be doing the same thing. Broccoli well, they look like mini trees. I don't want to eat a mini tree, guys. I don't want to do it. Elaina literally relaying the message that Fran taught her about being a picky eater. And it's just a nice little roundup moment. We've come full circle. Elaina is now sat in the position of going, well, you can't be picky. You got to eat it, man. It's food. We get a nice little lesson where we use the wind magic, and we get a little bit of an insight into how Elaina passed her first Witch Apprentice exam. And she used magic very cleverly. She used the wind to block out her opponents. She says, I'm going to teach you how to use some wind magic. We can do this and we can help you get through the exam. And the brooch search continues, where Elaina sees the woman. We see her briefly in the collision scene when they hit the floor. The woman who lives opposite, she's so, I don't like this. She gave me really bad vibes. She's just kind of got that kind of her eye up going, oh, I saw things, but my memory is so bad. I don't know what's going on. She literally plays dumb until Elaina gives her some cash. And then she tells her what happens. And we didn't get this really awkward scene. This scene played out so awkwardly, and I think there was the reason why. So Saya comes in the middle of the night going, can I sleep with you? The scene felt awkward, and my suspicion level was starting to go through the roof. I was like, I bet Saya misses her sister, and she's got the brooch because she's forcing people to stay with her because she's lonely. And lo and behold, that is exactly it. Saya actually has the brooch, and we get this bit where Elena's she lets her in the bed and they're all together, and it's this awkward moment, and then she goes, will you return my brooch? And it played so awkwardly. It was like, ooh, this is awkward. I feel really awkward. She says, you've improved way too much, and you already know how to ride a broom. We learnt at the start, this place you're only allowed to go to if you're a mage. So we saw Elaina fly to it. So Saya had to fly there in the first place to get to the city. It turns out that Saya planned to collide with Elaina from the start, right from the start. And she does use that moment to nick the badge. And Elaina we have this really painful lesson. And she says, you can't tie somebody down using lies. And I'm a traveler, I have to leave. This is what I want to do. And Saya says that I'm lonely and I'm scared. And we get this nice little comfort with Elaina saying that being alone does help you to learn. You have to use it when it gets stronger. And she says, I'm going to give you my spare hat because a part of me will always be with you. So we do get to see how mature and how caring Elaina really is. So she comes across as being a little bit aloof at times, a bit kind of detached from emotions at times, but when she does use them, they are there. It is a nice moment of her saying that, I know it's scary and I'm going to give you the hat so you don't feel as scary, but obviously I've got a place to be. You've got, stuff to do ahead of you. It's a nice little painful lesson. It's the painful lesson of this episode. Elaina says it's like looking at my past self. We jump now to 6 months later where it looks like we're in another part of Europe. It's really beautiful. Elaina reads in the newspaper that Saya has passed her exam, and she says for the future she plans to travel and see her teacher. So she even says, I will wait for you. It's just a nice little wrap up. This anime, I just have my eye on it. I think it's going to be one of those hidden gems of the season. It's got a beautiful pace. There's lots going on, but it doesn't feel heavy. It feels really relaxing to watch it. The colours are visually stunning. The animation is stunning. The magic looks beautiful. I really like the way they've done the magic in this. The characters, Elaina mainly, is a very intriguing MC to follow. She is strong-willed. She is clever. She is determined. We've seen it already how far she'll go to achieve what she wants to do. And now she's here doing what she wants. And I think we're going to get this episodic thing where we meet different characters as she goes, and sometimes it's nice just to have a anime which does that, where it's episodic, we get something going on. Ikeburo Westgate Park is the same. I think that's going to be an episodic thing. I have no issues with that. I think, if anything, it's easier to break them down, so we can break an episode down and the character learns something and then the story continues. I think if you're not watching this anime, please pick it up. I think this anime is going to be a gem of the season. It's definitely going to be up there in the eights, I think, for me. I've got 5 animes that I'm reviewing on at the moment, which isn't going to stay that way. I am probably going to drop Noblesse, sadly, because it's an okay anime. It's not coming in. I've given it a 6 so far. It's okay. I want to talk about something like Journey of Elaina, just because it's different and it is intriguing. It's engaging to watch. I want to know what's. I went into Elaina not knowing what's going on. I didn't really read the plot. I knew it was about witches, and that was literally all I got. The first episode, it had me hooked immediately. As soon as they started fighting, and we see Fran busting out these really quite serious like moves, and the magic isn't like, she's not going easy on her. It had me hooked right there and then. I was like, there's something more going on in this anime, and I want to know what's going on. So thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. It really, really helps. So please tune in next week on Friday if you want to hear me talk about the next episode of Elaina. If you want to know what else I'm doing this season as well. Monday, we talk about Golden Kamui, and that is season 3. So please join us to have a talk about bonus, and we'll talk about bears and fun things. So Monday is a wacky day, so come along for some comedy, a nice comedy anime to kick off the week. Tuesday or Wednesday early morning, if you're, depending on where you are in the world, we talk about Moriarty the Patriot. We break it down. We talk about murder. We talk about symbolism. We talk about an anti-villain, anti-hero, a villain. It's fun. It's bloody. It's getting into the season of Halloween, so definitely worth picking this one up for the spooks and the thrills and some very interesting storytelling. I'm very impressed with this one. Wednesday/Thursday, you've got Ikeburo Westgate Park, which is probably another gem of the season. Very interesting to find it out. It's episodic again, but we've got some very interesting characters to follow. It's, as I've described it, as an illegal version of Millionaire Detective. Very cool. As well, later that day, you've got Noblesse. Not sure how long that one's going to stay around, but if you want me to continue with that one, you need to get onto that video and you need to be upvoting and just commenting. Obviously, I don't want to drop it. If you guys are interested, I won't drop it. But if it doesn't get any more attention, I might have to put it aside and pick something else up, just because I can't be doing like 5 hours of hard work and wrecking my sleep for something where it's not getting a lot of attention and it's not really impressing people. So if you want me to continue with Noblesse, make sure you get over there and give that video some love. Friday will be Elena's journey. We'll follow Elaina. And again, just so I know what to do, the upvotes and watching kind of thing, that all helps me know what I need to hone in on. What do I need to be focusing on? I use the information of upvoting and you guys commenting as signs that something is doing well, something deserves my attention. That's as simple as that. So have a good one, guys. Thanks for joining me today on a kind of unexpected release. Have a good day, guys. Bye-bye.